Morning, Irving.
I can't see way in the back.
Morning. Boozer's going to open us in prayer, and Roderick will do the pledge.
Prayer. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to not only be a member of Rotary, but the opportunities that it gives us to then show your love to the community around us. We pray you just watch over each and every one of us. We pray for those who are here, and we understand that there's many things that keep us from being here, but we pray you would just take care of those who need that, your loving hand around. So we thank you for this club. We thank you for all that's done in the community in the past. We thank you for the fellowship that it gives all of us. We thank you for what it means to this community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Okay.
What's up there?
Any announcements?
Dragon today.
Treasurer, everything's coming in okay.
I think it's all that rain. All the rain got me in snooze mode.
Cindy Porter.
Okay, I am going to be reading up about the troops pretty often now. If you belong to a church, a prayer group, a men's group, and you would consider or would like to support the troops and get involved, please let me know. We're rebuilding the event. We want to see it put on our community. We still want to keep it going. So I've got the doors open. Churches can get involved. There's so much they can do. Pray, collect supplies, and get active. So let's take an active step to support.
So when you say event, is this an event that happens every year?
Yeah, the federal state, we are on Saturday.
The city is having it?
We have it's the community.
Okay, so you're reaching out for support?
Yes.
Okay.
Got different clubs.
Yes, everybody, all the time.
It's
Everyone's involved, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and police.
really, really neat.
We had a museum last time. Lined up.
Oh, cool.
Got a stage set up.
The stage is amazing.
for city front.
Everyone there is volunteer, everything's free, all the music you see, the performers are all performing for free, and we'll have the big band and musicians during the whole time.
Donate.
Yeah, when they say, well, the city furniture, should be the tax bill.
Yeah.
It's the city.
Oh, look, it's, I know.
Yeah.
no one gets this stuff. And every year they put it in the parking lot, I try, because that's a good perk.
And it's on Porter Way.
It's on Porter Way.
Any other announcements? I don't know if this is working, so Mike, bring it in. Okay. Mr. President, you did get through meeting, but you have.
That's all right. I've got two quick items, and I'm not even gonna bother with this. Good morning, Rotary.
Good morning.
Morning. Michael, were you able to get that?
I was.
Great. I don't need it right this second. There are two topics that I asked to be sent out by email this last week: membership and fundraising. We have done well with membership, getting the word out. We have a potential member, Mark Zeski, who has filled out the application, city councilman, and we will further that process. We also have Alfred and his wife who expressed interest in joining. Please keep up the work of letting people know. Something that helps me, these cards are at the back table. Our secretary, Derek Reagan, has them. It simply invites, it tells people when our meeting is, it invites them. I pass them out to people I meet, not only to get speakers, but to get people to come to the meeting. Everybody can have these. They're instrumental in opening a conversation. Next topic is fundraising. There is an opportunity for the Irving Sunrise Rotary. This poster that I'm making has not been released yet. This is just a preview of what can happen. Down here it says it benefits these organizations. Irving Sunrise Rotary is listed. This is a softball challenge between the Irving Police and the Irving Fire, September 24th. It will be Midway Carnival style. Sunrise Rotary has the opportunity to man a booth. You'll be given a tent, 2 tables, 2 chairs to, I'm going to think it's going to be hot, sell water, sell drinks, merchandise, chips, popcorn, things of that nature. Other organizations, for example, Ambucks, they've already taken control of the dunk tank. So they will be responsible for the dunk tank. They get to receive tickets and monies for people to pay. So that's how Ambucks is raising money for Ambucks. Irving Rotary has the same opportunity. With that said, is anyone interested in manning a booth September 24th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. to sell product, things of this sort? So I see any hands of anyone interested. Once again, Ken, I see your hand in the very back of the room, and I want to say thank you for always participating as much as possible. I know you have a busy schedule just like the rest of us. If you're going to think about it, that's wonderful. Please get with me in the next few weeks. I think this would be a great opportunity to raise some quick funds. I already have the water and the drinks. I have pallets of them. So we would not have to purchase anything to sell it. I would donate it to the club.
Thank you, Jeff.
But we need someone to stand there with ice chest and a table to talk about Rotary. This is a great way to get Rotary's name out to the community. We're expecting a very large turnout. This is just a great way, to get our name out, but also make some quick funds for our club. So if you're interested, please get with me. Everyone is welcome to participate. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Saturday. This is Saturday, September 24th. The University of Dallas is hosting us. Like I said, this is not out yet. It's not even printed. This is the proof that they've given me to approve. I went ahead and put Rotary's name on there. I would like the club to participate. I'm sure we can pull together a few volunteers. We've already got Ken.
I just need to make sure I'm in town and I should be able to.
Eddie, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Awesome.
And of course, I'm providing the PA system and the
Well,
play-by-play.
yeah, you're already there in a very big way. Oh, I don't think we should send that out.
I'm not sending
Oh,
it out, I
okay.
just need the information.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're already there with the speaker and the minute to minute and all of that. We're still in the process of getting sponsors for the innings, for all kinds of things. In fact, we have a meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. at the University of Dallas. The new Rotary will send their representative, Rick Lindsay. They're going to want to get involved. I didn't put them on here because they haven't made a commitment yet.
How about
Yes.
Rotary getting involved?
I would love Rotaract involved. I've sent emails to them. I have not had a response. This is their home turf. Wouldn't it be wonderful for them to make a presence? Those guys are there. They would man a booth and just be excellent. So anyone that has contacts to the Rotaract members that can help me out, getting the ball rolling, that would be awesome. Sally.
What about Interact kids? Because school will be back in.
So our new potential member, Mark Zeski, has already expressed interest in helping us get involved with a program. The only catch to that is it's the Noon's program. The Noon has an Interact club there already.
That is their
So that's just a little caveat that we're gonna work with. I have partnered with Shane Webb, president of the new club, and we're going to do things together. So we're going to try to work that to where we both benefit from that and expand it.
So which high schools do we have?
I want to say we have Nimitz.
We don't have a high school, we just have the.
Well, then that is something that we should work on. The staff at Nimitz has expressed an interest for RILA. They said, would you please consider us next go around for RILA? I think that is a wonderful opportunity to get in the door and to open that Interact club. Derek, you and I can work together on that.
Do you have other things going out there?
Right now, we have 10 tents ordered. It is everything. Okay, so the Irving Police Department will have a tent. They're going to sell their merchandise. All of their tickets and proceeds go to Special Olympics. That's who the police have chosen this year. The fire department will have their tent. They will, their funds go to Gray Matters. That's who they've chosen. There are other people looking at doing it. The Ambucks have reserved one tent. They haven't said what they want yet. They see this as a money-making opportunity and a way to get their club name out there. I would sure hope that Irving Sunrise Rotary sees this great opportunity. So to answer your question, there are some, but there's still 3 or 4 available. Popcorn is available. The smell of popcorn will just draw folks in. We are still in the works with being able to give away beer. Well, you give a donation ticket that they purchase up there.
I understand.
There has to be some finesse.
Yeah.
But when you're doing that with the THC, so that's all I have this morning. But please get your cards if you don't have them, or just to open up a conversation with someone, be it church, works, school, wherever, about inviting them to the meeting. And then let's remember fundraising. Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
yes, sir.
I'm curious, I understand it's gonna sell t-shirts too. So I'm curious from a vote of hand, I mean, would people pay $20 for a t-shirt, $15,
I'd donate it. So
you know, $20, something like that?
Yeah.
I think $20 seems fair, I don't know. You know, t-shirts,
So when we did the barbecue and music festival,
Mhm.
the hats and shirts that I purchased were between 25 and 50. And there was people purchasing those.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to have the Irving Marathon in with us with this event also. We partnered with Losro. So
Yeah.
the turnout should be wonderful, and the people there that have the potential to purchase will be there. So we'll have our audience.
Can we sell t-shirts ahead of time?
I'm trying to figure out how to be able to put something on here. There's a lot of people that will not be in town or will not be able to attend, so that they can donate online. And that's one of the things I thought of after I had this made, that people need to be able to donate online.
Could they even like Venmo, if anything else, like a digital?
I don't know the technology of that, but I'm sure they can. I'm sure we can figure out a way, but we have enough intelligent minds here that do that,
Absolutely.
that it can be. So that's one thing we're gonna bring up. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jeff.
Are you done, Jeff?
So, if no one else has any announcements or brags or information, then I would like to turn it over to Michael Basoko. He has the month of July. Michael, thank you so much for coming through with everything, and the presentation is yours.
I guess Ken has a minute. Yeah, absolutely.
So a couple weeks back, we presented some Paul Harris Awards to some members that have donated over the years. I think all of you here kind of remember that. So for every $1,000 that you donate, you get a level and you get a pin. One of the members that is here this morning was not here that day. And so I'd like to present Ken Boozer with his pin. This is a good one because it has 4 dots on it.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
Nice job.
Photo op.
Congrats, Ken.
Excellent. What does 4 mean?
4 times.
4 times he's been to that.
Is that the most that they'll put on there?
4 times.
Yeah, Bill Cake
In a
has
row.
like 9 or so, they don't do it.
No more pictures.
All right, well, we'll let our speaker share the screen, and I'll make this quick introduction. Our speaker today is Darla O'Dwyer, Dr. Darla O'Dwyer. She is also known as the Gut Professor. She's a registered dietitian trained in integrative and functional nutrition. She's a professor at Stephen F. Austin University at Nacogdoches. Her approach can be summed up in just one sentence: no one diet fits all. Eat foods as close to their natural state as possible and take care of the microorganisms that live in your gut. So I don't know if today's breakfast is going to meet the requirement or not, but I'm sure the good doctor will let us know. So with that, doctor, maybe unmute yourself and we can do a mic test to make sure everything's good.
Thank you, Michael. Can everyone hear me?
Go again, please.
Can everyone hear me?
Maybe a little bit louder. Not to do it louder on my side here. I think that's going to work there. All right, doctor, take it away.
Okay, here we go. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And I wanted to start by saying that we all know the importance of the organs in our body. For example, our liver and our heart and our pancreas. But what you may not be aware of is you also have another organ in your body that is metabolically active, just like the liver and the heart and the pancreas. And that organ is called the gut microbiome. And without the gut microbiome, we wouldn't be able to survive. And I became interested in the gut microbiome because of my own struggles with a condition called irritable bowel syndrome. And I struggled severely with this condition, and it became worse after I had my second child. And I was teaching class, and it was so bad I would have to leave class to go lay down. And one of my very unconventional students came to my office and gave me a book, and it was all about the gut microbiome. Now, this was 12 years ago, so the gut microbiome was just coming to the forefront. And when I read that book, it was like an awakening. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that we have all of these microorganisms in our gut that control your health. So I wanted to share some of that knowledge that I've learned over the past 12 years with you and sum it up in a very short 20-minute presentation. But I can tell you, I teach a whole year worth of integrative and functional nutrition to my graduate students, and trying to sum this up in 20 minutes was a little difficult, but very quick, brief overview. What you're going to learn today is to define the gut microbiome and understand how it relates to health as well as disease, and then identify dietary and lifestyle habits that support a healthy gut microbiome. So the definition of the gut microbiome, it's a collection of microorganisms in addition to their DNA. And recent studies show that the amount of DNA in our microbiome, the amount of cells that we have equal the cells in our body. So it's pretty amazing. And the microbiome is made up of multiple organisms, bacteria, fungi, archaea, and viruses. There are 100 trillion microorganisms in the gut. And if you were to scoop those out and weigh them, it would be about 3 to 5 pounds. And they're not just sitting in there doing nothing, they are very active. As you move through the intestinal tract, the amount of microorganisms substantially increases. And this picture just illustrates that the majority of them live in our colon. And of those 100 trillion microorganisms, we have about 1,000 different species, and that's called diversity. And a lot of research shows now that the more diversity we have in the microbiome, the healthier we are. All right, so what does a healthy microbiome do? Well, it helps us digest carbohydrates through fermentation. I don't know about you, but if you've ever eaten a bunch of fiber and maybe you're not used to it, what happens? Well, your gut microbiome digests that fiber through the process of fermentation, and it produces a lot of gas. So if you've ever overeaten a bunch of fiber or accidentally taken a bunch of Metamucil and then end up with gas and bloating, that's why. It's your microorganisms that are fermenting it and producing gas. The microbiome also produces a lot of healthy substances and compounds. For example, they produce something called short chain fatty acids, which is very, very important to health. It also makes a lot of different B vitamins as well as vitamin K. They help metabolize drugs, which is pretty interesting. And studies, there's a study that showed that, for example, you may have heard of Tylenol and how it can be toxic to your liver for certain people. And it's because of the differences in the microbiome as to whether Tylenol might be toxic to one person's liver versus another person. In addition, the microbiome is able to break down xenobiotics, and xenobiotics are chemicals that the body does not recognize. And you can think of xenobiotics as chemicals, pesticides. Xenobiotics are fragrances. Every time we wear a fragrance, that's a foreign compound that the gut microbiome will have to metabolize and break down. If we have a healthy microbiome, it can help us detoxify from all these chemicals. Amazing feature of the gut microbiome is it's able to shape the immune system. So I'm going to show you a really busy slide in a minute, but I wanted to just look at this picture real quick. Food impacts the microbiome, and when you eat a very healthy diet full of fruits and vegetables and whole foods, then that supports a healthy immune system. But if you eat a diet, what we call the SAD diet, I don't know if y'all have heard that acronym before, but that's what's used to show what we eat in America and a Western diet. And it's definitely full of high fat and high sugar and processed foods. Well, that causes the microbiome to shift into different microorganisms that don't support health and support more inflammatory processes. This is a little bit busy, but what I want to illustrate here is that the microbiome is sitting in this layer inside your intestinal tract. And in your intestinal tract, 70 to 80% of the immune system lives there and resides. Your immune system is just one cell away from the outside world. If you really think about it, your intestinal tract is the outside world because you're taking in things from the outside and putting them into your intestinal tract. And then your immune system has to decide, is this foreign or is this self? Should I react to this? And the microbiome talks to the immune system. It actually tells the immune system, okay, well, we need to differentiate the T cells. We need to react. No, this is self. We don't need to react. And that is really incredible. And all these substances that the microbiome produces, like I mentioned here, short chain fatty acids, those are chemicals that speak to the immune system. I think that is so incredible. And in this time now, when we're worried about all these infectious diseases, when you have a healthy microbiome, you have a healthy immune system. Isn't that incredible?
Yes.
It's good to hear you. So what does a healthy microbiome do? Continued here. Well, a healthy microbiome actually kills pathogens, and pathogens are something that cause us harm. So they either crowd them out or they produce substances that kill the pathogens. And they also maintain the structure of your intestinal tract. And I'll show you another picture. Have any of you ever heard of leaky gut? No? That's a
Yeah.
some yes, some no. It's a strange term, leaky gut, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And another amazing thing is that the gut, they consider it the second brain. That's how impactful it is to our brain. And the microorganisms are able to communicate with the brain, and it's called the gut-brain axis. So what's happening in the gut impacts your mood, your personality, and that is incredible. All right, so what shapes and impacts the microbiome? Well, I think the most impactful is diet, but then there's all these other things. So your microbiome, they used to think it was formed after birth, but it is actually formed in utero from the mother's microbiome. So what the mother's doing in utero is impacting the infant's microbiome. The feeding method impacts the microbiome. Breastfeeding has substance in it that specifically colonize beneficial bacteria in the microbiome. The birthing process impacts the microbiome. Vaginal delivery changes the microbiome to a healthy microbiome, whereas C-section, the microbiome may look more like the skin. It changes as you go throughout life cycle. They think that the microbiome is kind of set by the age of 3, but they're finding that it can change. And as you get older, it definitely changes. It changes depending upon where you live. So it actually adjusts to the geography. Stress can impact the microbiome. Exercise positively impacts the microbiome. And when you exercise, it selects for the beneficial microbes. But even a little bit of stress, whether it's psychological or metabolic, and metabolic would be like insulin resistance or inflammation or allergies, things like that, that causes the microbiome to shift, and you end up with more pathogenic microorganisms that then support inflammation from talking to the immune system. And pharmaceutical studies show that pharmaceuticals, some can have a pretty negative effect on the microbiome. Some very common pharmaceuticals like statin drugs, proton pump inhibitors, which you would take if you have heartburn. And some pharmaceuticals like metformin, something that people take who have diabetes, positively impact the microbiome. And they think that's one reason why metformin really helps with blood glucose control. Okay. So what can go wrong? Well, we have all of these microorganisms, and we're not just talking about bacteria, viruses. There's something called archaea that really aren't even bacteria. They're single-celled organisms, and they all live in harmony and synergy together. But this picture shows what happens if your microbiome changes, and we call that dysbiosis. So if it changes to a dysbiotic state, that's when things go wrong. And that can impact, not only cause you to have bloating, gas, constipation, diarrhea, abdominal pain, but remember, the microbiome controls a lot of the whole immune system, if you think about it. So what's happening in the gut can express elsewhere in the body. And dysbiosis then is when you may have this word right here, pathobion. It means that normal microbes that normally are beneficial may become more pathogenic or destructive. Reduced diversity, that can cause destruction and poor health. And then also loss of beneficial microbes can be a problem. So how might you lose beneficial microbes? Anybody know? The most important or detrimental to the gut microbiome is a drug. And do y'all know what it is? No, antibiotics.
What?
Oh, definitely antibiotics. Now, don't get me wrong, antibiotics are life-saving. And sometimes you got to take antibiotics. But if you don't need them, talk to your doctor and try to do whatever you can naturally to get rid of your problem, because antibiotics destroy beneficial microbes as well as pathogenic or not so beneficial microbes. They're not very selective. And research studies show that some people can recolonize back to their healthy microbiome very quickly, within weeks. Some people may take over a year, and sometimes you might lose a beneficial microbe and not get it back. So how does the gut microbiome impact disease? And I just Googled, I can't describe every single disease in this short presentation that the microbiome influences. So if you want to look it up, all you have to do is Google, for example, diabetes and gut microbiome, and depression and gut microbiome, or cancer and gut microbiome. So that's what I did here. And I just wanted to show you, I just entered those terms very quickly and you come up with the research. And it is amazing how it impacts cardiovascular disease, cancer, depression, and it is pretty incredible. So this slide kind of shows the mechanisms of how dysbiosis, and remember we talked about dysbiosis, lack of diversity, bad microorganisms, that is what leads to leaky gut. And so this shows the single cell layer in your intestinal tract. So this is the outside, this is the single cell layer, and then you have the immune system. Well, here's the lumen means the hollow part of the gut, and then the single cell layer, and then your immune system's here, and then these compounds go into your bloodstream. And in between the cell layer is a tight junction. And those cell layers should be tightly packed together. But if you have dysbiosis, then those cell layers can open, and whatever is in the gut, like let's say it's a protein. So you're eating wheat, for example. And then all of a sudden you take an antibiotic, and then you start realizing, oh my gosh, I'm having gas and bloating, my stomach hurts. And then now I'm having these itching and skin problems. What happens is these tight junctions open, which is leaky gut. And the scientific term is intestinal permeability, increased intestinal permeability. And things from the gut, especially proteins and microbes, then migrate into your blood vessels, which then it carries to all these different organs. You believe that? It's really amazing. And this picture shows, we're not going to go into all of it, but look at how it causes the immune system to have more inflammation and react. And there's substances that the microbiome produce that then cause the kidneys to have problems and the liver to have problems. A poor microbiome is associated with obesity. So now this is all depressing, isn't it? How do you fix it? So what helps the microbiome? Well, fiber does. And the more fiber you can get, the better. They say that people that live in Africa, they eat 100 grams of fiber per day, whereas in America, we might get 15 grams. And the more fiber you eat, that is what feeds the microbiome. And there's particular kinds of fiber that actually select for beneficial microbes. Like, for example, prebiotics. Prebiotics are substances in fruits and vegetables and whole grains that select for certain microbes in the intestinal tract. And I have here, if tolerated. When I started on this journey, I could not tolerate, my microbiome was so messed up that I could not tolerate fiber. So it took me a long time. I had to eliminate all things that fermented, and the most fermentable food are carbohydrates. So I had to get rid of carbohydrates and follow a special diet and settle down the inflammation. And now I'm able to eat pretty much whatever I want, except I still cannot have wheat. So you want to eat a variety of fruits and vegetables. And I know vegetables, I mean, they don't taste very good compared to hamburgers and Cheetos. And it's hard to emphasize vegetables. And I do not like to eat a lot of cruciferous vegetables, which are really good for the microbiome. And that would be like cabbage and broccoli and cauliflower. So what I do is I make shakes out of them. And then I put blueberries and almond butter, and that's how I get mine in. So do whatever you can to get more fruits and vegetables into your diet, and think, well, I may not like this as much, but my microbiome likes it. And what they're doing really impacts how I feel. You can also emphasize polyphenols. Polyphenols are compounds that benefit health, and they're in a variety of, back to fruits and vegetables, but they're also in cocoa. A new study just came out about cocoa and how great it is for health. And we're not talking about like Milky Ways and milk chocolate, but the dark chocolate. The darker the chocolate, the better. But that's yummy, dark chocolate. And what about green tea has polyphenols? And let's see, I have other herbs. Herbs have polyphenols, spices. And how about red wine?
Yes.
Yes.
Now you're talking about
Red wine all the way. And then another thing is, sorry, does somebody have a question?
Wondered if bourbon counted.
Bourbon. I haven't seen polyphenols in bourbon, but you could Google, are there polyphenols in bourbon? See what you find. And another thing is, you want to eat foods in their most natural state. And I have my students do a research project on food additives. And it's amazing and a little depressing what they find. We have so many additives in our food supply, and they find a lot of research and food additives like carrageenan, and that is found in a lot of dairy products. It helps emulsify and thicken foods, and it's been shown to lead to inflammatory bowel disease in mice. And there's other compounds. What about artificial sweeteners like aspartame? There's more and more research coming out on how these artificial sweeteners negatively impact the microbiome. So if you can try to eat foods in their most natural state and avoid processed foods with compounds in them that we still have no idea how they impact the microbiome, we're learning more and more, but just focus on natural foods, that helps the microbiome. And look at this, interact with animals in nature. Studies show that children who are raised in a home with a dog actually have healthier microbiomes. A healthy microbiome supports a healthy immune system. So these children have less incidence of food allergies and asthma. So go Minnie, Michael's dog. And if you interact with nature, there's this chiropractor named Josh Axe wrote an entire book called Eat Dirt. And there's studies to show that used to we'd go out to our gardens and pull out a carrot and eat it, not wash it. Well, there's beneficial microbes in the dirt that are beneficial to our bodies. And now they even sell them. They're called soil-based microorganisms. And so that get dirty and try not to worry so much. This is going to help y'all not have to worry so much about using hand sanitizer every time you wash your hands, because there's not only a microbiome in your intestinal tract, but you have a skin microbiome, an eye microbiome, a mouth microbiome. And anytime you try to kill that, then that causes dysbiosis. So don't worry so much about using all these hand sanitizers. Of course, wash your hands, but get dirty. Studies show that kids who live on a farm and are dirty, get in the mud, interact with animals, again, have less incidence of asthma and food allergies. So I've shared with you my favorite prebiotic recipe. I love this and it's delicious. I hope that y'all can try to make it. Have any of you ever heard of jicama?
Yes.
It is so good. And it is a great source of prebiotic. So jicama, asparagus, onions, garlic, those types of foods, flaxseed, they all have prebiotic properties. And prebiotic, again, is something, it's like a fiber, but it selects for beneficial microorganisms. And you want them to be in your gut microbiome and they crowd out all the bad ones. So I encourage you to try this recipe. It's made with jicama, and it also has a little red onion, another prebiotic, and it's very refreshing and delicious. I have given you some resources. If you want to read a general book on the microbiome, this one's good. Now, I haven't read it, but I have seen a lot of reviews and some of my clients read the book, and it just really shows you how important microbes are. And for the last, I don't know, since Pastor came out with his research on microorganisms and how they can cause disease, we've kind of been in that mindset of they're bad, microorganisms are bad, kill, kill, kill. We want antibiotics, we want sanitizer, spray Lysol in the air and bleach your counters, when actually they are very, very beneficial. And this book goes through how beneficial they are. If you are having gut health problems, then these are some books. I've read this one, Healthy Gut, Healthy You, and actually do research with Dr. Ruscio. That's a really good book to help restore your gut by using diet, probiotics, and then also specific herbal antimicrobials if those probiotics and diet doesn't work. And then some other ones are the Microbiome Diet by Raphael Kelman and the Microbiome Connection by Dr. Pimentel and Dr. Azai. All right, so in conclusion, the microbes in our gut influence every aspect of health, not just what's going on in our gut, but all over our body. Our lifestyle and diet impacts the types as well as the amounts of microbes. And no one diet fits all. And this statement was already said, but every time you eat, think, wonder how this is impacting my 100 trillion microbiome organisms. Thank you all for listening. And that's all I have today. This is my contact information if you have any questions or need further resources.
Great. Thank you, Doctor. We have a little bit of time. Any questions or comments from the group?
I just want, Dr. Dwyer, thank you for your presentation. One question regarding antibiotics. Do you have a suggestion for whenever you're coming off of one, what's best to kickstart rebuilding your gut?
There are some studies that show a particular probiotic called Saccharomyces boulardii helps prevent antibiotic-associated diarrhea. So that is one, it's a yeast-based microorganism, so you can take it with the antibiotic and the antibiotic won't kill it. So that is one probiotic that you can take. And I would say after antibiotic, I had to go on I haven't been on an antibiotic since I had a C-section back in 2009. And I think part of that is what started my journey because I had to take a lot of antibiotics during that time. And that's why my problems escalated after I had my second child. So if you can, when you're on antibiotics, try to give yourself as much prebiotics and fiber and healthy foods as you can to restore those beneficial microorganisms, and then take Saccharomyces boulardii to prevent antibiotic-associated diarrhea. That's what I would recommend.
Thank you, Doctor.
Welcome.
The question, Doctor, you had mentioned about, I was wondering, how this affects the lungs, the connection to the lungs, because of everything with these, with the viruses.
Yes.
So how can our gut help us protect us against the viruses that are going around?
It's how the gut interacts with the immune system, but like there's a gut-brain axis, there's a gut-lung axis. So studies show that what's going on in the gut impacts what's happening in the lungs. So the healthier your gut is, then the healthier your immune system is, and then your immune system controls how you react to viruses.
Oh,
another question. You asked this question.
Appreciate your presentation. Is it possible you can go through this presentation? Not with you again, but on our own?
Oh, yeah, this is being recorded and it'll be on the website.
Yeah,
so
go through it. So,
And Michael has a handout too
yeah,
that he can email to everybody.
Yeah, I can post it also on our website. The video itself will also be on the website.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting.
So, all right.
All right.
Thanks so much, Doctor. Have a great one.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your meeting. I'll be signing out then. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll be happy to know I found the sign that said whiskey has good quality.
Whiskey. What about Irving? I'm covered. I got a great gut, great healthy gut. All right. Mr. President, I don't know if you want to have any other things. You got 3 minutes.
Great. I've said my piece. Please remember to bring up Rotary in your conversations between your friends and your associations. And now for the four-way test.
Please join me in reciting the four-way test of the things we think or say or do. First,
Is it the truth?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill between friendships?
fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Gentlemen, y'all have a great week, great weekend. You too, man.
Take care.
Till, cheers.